Y'all, not Jaden exposing his mom for being a liar. Jada Pinkett Smith has been on a campaign in the past couple of days talking about her relationship with Tupac and how much he loved her and how he proposed to her. But it turns out that she might have not been completely truthful about this, because her son Jaden just came out to expose her for making up that whole story about the proposal. Jaden pretty much exposed all of Jada's lies about Tupac, and y'all won't believe the crazy things that Jada was capping about. Okay, so y'all know how Jada Pinkett Smith has been getting dragged by the internet these past couple of days for treating Will badly and being obsessed with Tupac? Well, it turns out that the internet is not the only place where she's getting dragged, because she is also catching a whole lot of smoke from her family, including her own kids, especially Jaden. It's kind of wild to think that even her own kids think that she's in the wrong, and I think that this tells us a lot about what we need to know about the whole situation. Now, Jaden has always been something of a rebel and a nonconformist, but at the same time, it's pretty clear that he cares about his mom deeply. I mean, he did ask to be emancipated from his parents when he was only 15 or 16, but he also has shown support for his mom and dad. For example, after Will slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars last year, Jaden tweeted in support of his father, saying, "And that's how we do it." So if Jaden is now not supporting his mom, then y'all know it's gotta be something serious going on. Well, it turns out that not only is Jaden sick and tired of how Jada has been embarrassing Will in the media with her stories about Tupac, but half the things that she has been saying are not even true, according to Jaden. At first, Jaden was willing to turn a blind eye and just ignore it, but he now thinks that Jada has gone too far, because it looks like she is hell-bent on humiliating Will at all costs. But you know what's really wild? According to Jaden never really kept her love for Tupac a secret from her kids, because she used to talk endlessly about how Tupac was the most perfect man she ever knew. Jaden also admitted to having some moments of doubt, wondering if Jada even had room in her heart for Will. I mean, she'd go on and on about Tupac like he was the one and only love of her life. Will had some pretty big shoes to fill, pretty much chasing a ghost, and Jada made it clear that her connection with Tupac was on a whole nother level. This probably explains why Willow wrote a letter to Tupac when she was just 11, begging him to come back and make Jada happy. She wrote, "Dear Tupac, I know you are alive in some place. I think that my mommy really misses you. Can you please come back? Can you come back so mommy and me can be happy? I wish you were here. I really do. Love, Willow." So about a year ago, this letter surfaced, and it raised some eyebrows because Willow somehow knew that Tupac could make Jada happier than Will ever did. But here's the kicker. Tupac has been gone and dead for years before Willow and even Jaden came into this world. So the only way that they could have known about this Tupac magic love was if Jada had been going on and on about it herself. So when that letter first hit the scene, we all thought it was weird, to say the least. But fast forward to the present time, and things have taken a seriously messy turn. What used to be weird is now downright disrespectful, and it's a real hot mess. And honestly, it's Will who's getting disrespected here. Jada has always felt the type of way about Will, but her recent confessions about her Tupac connection have got fans connecting all the dots. It's becoming clear why Will might be the victim in this whole drama. Even her own kids can't bring themselves to publicly or privately support her anymore, and that's how you know the situation is bad. Now, back in the day when Tupac was still around, they were like two peas in a pod. They both went to Baltimore School for the Arts and ended up in the same class. That's where their friendship took off, and they were practically glued at the hip. But even as they made their way to Hollywood and found fame, they remained tight as ever. But here's where it gets juicy. Now, people couldn't help but speculate about the nature of their bond. Some folks thought that there might be some behind-the-scenes hanky-panky going on, if you get my drift. But Jada and Tupac swore that they were just friends, and there was no funny business happening. But not many people really bought that story, especially with what we know now. Now, fast forward a little bit, and Jada started dating Will Smith. Things got hot and heavy between them, and Will was really into Jada. But there was one trouble between them, and that was Will's jealousy. He couldn't shake off the insecurity about Jada's friendship with Tupac. I mean, Tupac was for sure one of the biggest rappers back then. He was super close with Jada, and I get why it would make Will feel a type of way. In fact, even after Tupac passed, Jada kept his memory so close to her heart that Will still felt jealous over their friendship, even though Tupac was literally gone. And Will didn't even try to hide this fact, because he spoke about it openly in interviews.
You ever jealous of the love Jada had for Tupac?
Oh, yeah. But she just loved him like he was the image of perfection, but she was with the Fresh Prince, you know? So it was like, I never could, like, even we were in a room together a couple times, I couldn't speak to him, you know.
Now, at first, we all thought that it was weird that he couldn't bring himself to move past a friendship that ended years ago, but according to Jaden, there's more to the story. It turns out that Will's lingering feelings about Tupac were fueled by none other than Jada herself. Jaden spilled the beans that Jada kept the Tupac topic going on in family conversations, talking about how much he meant to her, but she rarely showered Will with the same level of affection. Even though they put up a united front when the cameras were rolling, Jaden revealed that Will often felt emasculated by Jada's Tupac obsession. And honestly, it's not just him who noticed this, because fans have picked up on it too in recent years. Jada hardly ever talks about Will in a positive light, and she's been giving off vibes like she's not all that interested in being married to him anymore. She doesn't even try to hide it, y'all, because there was a time when she openly admitted that she didn't want to marry Will. The only reason that they got married in the first place was because she had Jaden on the way, and let Jada tell it, her mom pushed them into marriage.
I really didn't want to get married, but
We only got married because Gammy was crying.
I was under so much pressure, you know, being a young actress, being young, and I was just like pregnant. And I was just like, I didn't know what to do, but I just knew. I was like, I never wanted to be married.
Then there's also the time that Will spent 3 years planning her 40th birthday party because she was in a depressive slump, and he was trying really hard to cheer her up by planning this great party to lift her out of this depressive slump. But Jada didn't see it that way, and she called Will out for trying to flaunt his ego.
Day after her 37th birthday, I hired a team to orchestrate her 40th birthday. I had hired a documentary team. I traced Mommy's family roots. Going to be the thing that lifted her out of this midlife crisis, and it was going to be my deepest, most beautiful proclamation of love. And she's told me that the party was the most ridiculous display of my ego.
Ooh.
There's also the time when she came out and pretty much said that Will doesn't satisfy her in the bedroom.
Tell me what you need, tell me what you want, and on top of it, I know that I have to be accountable to do the same.
And do you?
I really try.
Now, to be fair to her, she did admit that she needed to communicate her needs better, saying, "Only because I've got time today, stop making up headlines. Watch the Red Table Talk I did with Gwyneth Paltrow for yourselves. Will and I never had an issue in the bedroom. Thank you." But can we please also talk about the fact that she makes videos of him where she insults him when he is clearly uncomfortable and then posts it online?
Would you say she has been instrumental in you and I redefining our relationship?
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me
Oh my goodness.
if you could film me.
Astaire, come help us again, please.
I'm still dealing with foolishness.
Cause she don't just.
These things made fans feel like this marriage was a sham, but it turns out that things were worse behind the scenes. Jaden claims that Jada used Tupac as a weapon to make Will feel small and jealous. Word on the street is, during their heated arguments, Jada would whip out the Tupac card, talking about how Tupac would never have pulled this or that, or how he would have did this or that for her, something Will apparently fell short on. And here's the kicker, Jaden claims that Jada knew how sensitive Will was about Tupac, and she'd bring him up just to mess with Will, because that's a surefire way to get a rise out of him. It's like adding extra spice to an already spicy situation. And it doesn't look like Jaden is making things up just to make his mom look bad, because she has been doing these press runs to promote her upcoming memoir Worthy, and she has been saying a lot about her and Tupac. And it's been all positive things, like how she called him her soulmate.
We have soulmates. Our children can be our soulmates. I think this kind of romanticized idea of like a soulmate, you know, there's all kinds of definitions of soulmate. But you know, definitely. I don't think, if there is such a thing as past lives, I definitely think Pac and I have traveled a few together.
But not only that, she also revealed that he proposed to her when he was in jail.
When he asked me to get married, he was at Rikers. Like, he needed a rock. He needed, because of our friendship and because of everything we had been through together, he just wanted to feel that solidified foundation.
Now, it was this part that made people doubt her story because the math wasn't exactly mathing. One minute she was talking about how they weren't romantically involved, but then the next moment he proposed to her. Yeah, that's a little bit weird, but she talked so highly of Tupac. But then when it came to Will, well, she admitted that they had been separated for about 6 or 7 years now.
Was that in 2016, you and Will decided that you were going to live completely separate lives. Yes. It was not a divorce on paper, right, but it was a divorce. So from the year 2016, which is 7 years ago now, yes, y'all have been apart.
Yeah.
There was nothing about how she loves Will or how she's grateful for all the years they've spent together or anything. Apparently, this is what ticked Jaden off the most. And he basically confirmed a theory that's been flying around about how Jada has been lying about how Tupac proposed to her.
Jada is currently on her Pay Attention to Me tour, and she is making all these wild claims, including that Tupac proposed to her while he was at Rikers. Really? The math isn't mathing.
Well, this TikTok user was the first to notice that the math wasn't mathing.
He was sent to Rikers prison, only to be transferred less than a month later to Clinton Correctional Facility. And she specifically said she went to see him. This was not on the phone.
She pointed out that Tupac was already married to someone else when he went to prison.
He proposed to Keisha before he even went into prison. They were already engaged. They got married in April. And in the time that he got sentenced and was taken to prison, Keisha actually moved closer to be by him and be by the prison.
She's also saying that there's no way that Jada could have gone to see Tupac because she had flown to LA to see Will during the 1-month window that Tupac was at Rikers.
But in February of 1995, Will Smith was served divorce papers by his wife. 5 days later, on February 19th, Will called Jada and said, "Are you single?" And she said, "Yep." Will said, "We're together now." Jada said, "Cool." And she immediately flew to LA.
Also at the time, Jada was in Maryland where she had just bought a new house, so she wasn't even in New York at the time. Yeah, 1 + 1 ain't equaling 2, sis, and according to insiders, Jaden feels the same way about this because he now believes that Jada might have been over-exaggerating how much Tupac was into her. While he can't deny that she and Tupac had a strong bond, he feels like his mom might have read too much into the situation and assumed that Tupac wanted her in a way that he really didn't, and this would explain why she made up the story about him proposing to her. Fans love comments saying, "All the real ones knew she was lying through her teeth. She's obsessed with the man who can't say he didn't want her, so she gets to paint the story. I hate it." And all jokes aside, something is dangerously wrong with Jada. But what do y'all think about this? Do you really think that Jada's been lying about Tupac wanting to marry her? And do y'all think that Jaden will really be exposing his mom like that? Drop your thoughts and comments below.